Us a sheet just now, and it says a coalition of a coalition of white people and non-black people of color shut down the Interstate 35W bridge in solidarity with the movement for Black Lives, condemning the ongoing killings of black people by police in the Twin Cities and across the country. Again, that is a statement released by the coalition who's been involved with this shutdown here. But right now you can see there's a bus who's been stuck here for about 15 minutes trying to turn around here on the interstate and get back and go the opposite direction, north on the southbound lane. But we also see on the on-ramp here on the 35W, there are 5 tow trucks now prepared to move some of those vehicles.
Are you seeing any sort of interaction with police and these protesters who have gathered? I mean, we see a large, clearly...
Also went inside the Star Tribune building asking, who do you work for, the people or the cops? He says then, good question, hashtags Black Lives Matter. We get a little bit better shot here of one of the demonstrators in the middle of the screen where you can see that person's holding a piece of tagboard that says, abolish police. We do know that this group is specifically condemning the killings of black people.
Our Tyler shut down 35
awesome.
Once you get across the river, and crews have made their way in. Are you still saying more police arrived there on the scene?
Absolutely. Every time you guys keep tossing to me, we keep seeing more and more squad cars show up here. I mean, there's at least over a dozen right now that came from the other direction, north into the southbound lane, and you can see all the patrol officers lined up there in front of those squads. But even in addition to that, there are several state patrol troopers behind us, directing people to not go down here any further onto the interstate, directing the traffic behind me, as not only is the interstate backed up, the university is very backed up, and a lot of these people have been closed off from even crossing the overpass here to go further onto university as they let more people off of the interstate on the off-ramp. Off of I-35W onto...
oh, you don't go that way.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I think it's interesting we saw one person...
Like what those words are, but according to the press release that I was handed by this coalition here today, they said that the group is demanding the dismantling of the police department, which includes disarming, defunding, demilitarizing, and disbanding the police. Again, that's according to...
Are you fucking crazy?
They call themselves...
I mean, are they...
And physically remove people from 35W.
Not a lot was known about this particular organization. We got word yesterday that they were planning on meeting at the Hennepin County Government Center at 7:30 this morning. We showed up this morning to see exactly how many people turned out. We obviously had no idea that something like this was going to be happening. We assumed that the group there at the Hennepin County Government Center and the group now that's on the freeway were working in concert to try to make this happen. 3 or 4 vehicles stopped right in the middle of rush hour traffic, pulled across all lanes in order to protect them as they staged this demonstration.
This is something, if you're just joining us, which has been going on since about 7:50 this morning. So 35W came to a screeching halt around 7:50 this morning. Cars backed up for about 4 miles, maybe even more. Now, we've been checking in with Josie Smith periodically to kind of get an indication of the impact that this is having. But this certainly, the timing of this, very well coordinated. They wanted to do it to disrupt as many people as possible. We saw a similar incident to this on Saturday night on Interstate 94 that lasted 4 hours. So this is very, very different in that it hasn't even been an hour and police are already starting to apprehend these people, zip tie their wrists, take them in their squad cars, get them out of this area. We've seen groups shut down interstates here in Minneapolis before. We had one when Jamar Clark was killed, 35 was shut down. We then had Interstate 94 over the weekend, and now 35W southbound as you head into Minneapolis this morning. Police sadly becoming familiar with these types of events and clearly saying, listen, we're not going to let this extend.
The guy in the middle of the screen there who's been on the microphone the whole time, he just, the officers just approached him, and he's basically got a sound system set up in the back end of his pickup truck there. He appears to be a little more animated and fired up than most of these other protesters have been. Megan, while you're talking, excuse me for interrupting you, he and one of the officers there, looks like they exchanged some pretty heated words, Now we've got 2 or 3 officers around that particular individual as they all try to get him under control and restrain him. And it looks like, for the most part, there's only a handful of people here who are still left who've not been apprehended by police.
So, Tyler, I have a question for you. Are police working in coordination together? The police that you're seeing up above, as you look down on this, are they trying to disperse the...
Ready for anything that might happen, but again, this group behind me, they haven't moved. They've stayed in the grass. They haven't got onto any roadway. They haven't obstructed anything, but they do continue to yell, "We love you, Black Lives Matter," as a lot of these protests are led away and are carried beyond the squad cars here. And you can see that a Metro Transit bus is out there, and I imagine that might be a way that they might take some of these protesters away with how many of them are here. I imagine there's at least 30 to 40 of them.
And unlike some of the other protests that we've seen that started at point A, moved on to point B, ended at point C, this particular protest, it appears that they meant to be right here where they're at right now. They did this,
start somewhere and march somewhere.
This wasn't an impromptu thing. What happened here appears to be highly coordinated. We say that because you've got their cars parked across the lanes of traffic here on 35W.
Tyler, unlike Saturday night, we're not really seeing any violence today.
No, everybody has remained completely peaceful. All of the protesters who are on the street, all they did was clap and they yelled and they chanted. Again, we couldn't hear what they were saying because we were a little further away, but even the group behind us, they haven't done anything that wasn't peaceful. They've stood by and chanted and taken pictures. They haven't, I've asked if any of them would be interested in talking to us. They all declined and instead handed us this press release. This only really seems like it was impromptu to us. We were prepared for them to be protesting at the government center at 7:30, and we were there ready to cover that when we got word of this.
We're watching it right now.
But again, like you said, this appears to be something that was well coordinated. You can see the cause there. We've also seen some movement from some of these tow trucks here who have been lined up for about the last half hour.
I'm a white woman. Okay? So Black Lives Matter, everybody's lives matter. This is a disgrace, and that's why I'm out here. And I'm like,
him to get a little bit more specifics on their organization. They refused to talk.
She's begging you. Can't you see that?
Please give me the crack. Alright, don't worry about it. I got you. Look,
pretty interesting how
right
quickly
there.
police assembled here because when we saw I think it was Chopper 5 was over.